Let's move on to Newcastle, Glenn. The game that's been, I'd said, controversially rearranged. It's going to be a very different game to the one that would have been back at the start of the year.
Yeah, but I mean, we're better as well. There's no point in worrying about it or bringing it up. To be honest, it's gone. All their new players are going to be able to play. It's there's no real point in thinking that's an issue. We just got to play what's in front of us and get on with it. Really. Eddie Howe, I've never been a fan. As a manager, I think he was sort of praised for doing great things at Bournemouth, and on the face of it, he did. But some of the financial stuff going on at Bournemouth, and I do wonder. I think he had the cards stacked in his favour, sort of thing, on a lot of things, especially when they were in the Championship, and he got them promoted. But he's done very, very well, and you have to give credit where it's due. He's
hurts, doesn't it, though?
Not really. As I said, I think I've said before, the only team I've got any sort of affinity towards, apart from Saints, is Newcastle, because my grandfather was from there. But I didn't necessarily want them to go down. I mean, the whole Saudi takeover is obviously, it is what it is. It's a little bit dodgy, but as we are seeing in the news, the Premier League does love its dodgy owners with its money that come from questionable places. So, but they're here. We're playing them on Thursday night. They've signed a couple of players in the transfer window who, on the face of it, aren't great. Like Dan Burn, Matt Targett. If we sign them, people wouldn't be getting excited about it. But they've improved Newcastle's team. But the main thing that Eddie Howe has done that he needs to be praised for is that he's raised the levels of the existing players that they've got there, the likes of Fraser, Joelinton, John Joe Shelvey. All these players are playing a lot better than they were under Steve Bruce. So and Newcastle have a belief now that they can, that they can win games. They've won a few. They're playing with confidence. I think is it something like 7 unbeaten? So
yeah, five wins in 6 games, I think.
Yeah, and they're a handful up front with I don't think Chris Wood scored yet, but he is he's a bit of a mountain. He's a tough player to play against, and we have to be more aggressive with our defending against him. We can't just stand off and let him have the ball, because that'll just cause endless problems.
Of course, it was 2-2 back in August, wasn't it? We needed that James Ward-Prowse penalty in the 96th minute, and missed at the season, of course, from Gineppo in that game, I think, wasn't it? It's going to be a very different game, isn't it, Ed, this time round?
Yeah, I think it is. And what Glenn's missed out is that Kevin Friend's the referee. So sorry to upset you, Glenn, but just drop that.
Kevin Friend's all right unless you're playing one of the real big boys, and then he's a nightmare. But no, I'm not too worried about Kevin Friend in this particular game. But if we were playing, if he was refereeing our Man City Cup game, for example, you might as well not turn up.
Yeah. I think that some of the I think what Glenn said about Eddie Howe's right. I'm not a big fan of Eddie Howe's for all sorts of reasons, but I think the way he's used, especially Joelinton, who just didn't look a player at all for the amount of money they paid for him, but they pushed him back into midfield. He looks a completely different player, and they've got some stability. They've got some trucks at the back to stop the goals going in. Look, I don't think we should be worried about them. But if we played like we did on Saturday, then we need to be worried, because they'll come full of confidence and they'll bring the game to us, and that's how we like it. We like to sit back and hit people on the break. So as long as we can get our key players back, it'd be nice to put a couple past Eddie Howe and put that one to bed.
Yeah. Does it depend on the injuries, Glenn, and who starts at the back and who comes in for that? Do you think Ralph might change things around a bit? Because there was the argument that you're not going to change a winning side. Then all of a sudden, a couple of injuries, bit of a hammering at the weekend. Maybe that's a reason to make a couple of tweaks.
Yeah, I think if Salisu is fit, he will obviously come straight back in, and we will go with the flat back 4 like we normally do. If Salisu is not fit, I can see us perhaps going with 3 at the back, and probably Elyounoussi will drop out, and we'll do it that way. But I don't know enough about the way Newcastle play. I mean, Eddie Howe has always been a pretty standard 4-4-2 type of manager. So it's whatever Ralph thinks is the best system to play against that. But if Salisu's fit, I'm very confident that we'll win this game. If he's not, there are question marks, because we're going to have to somehow adapt the way we play. If we go in, I mean, I personally think if we go in with a flat back four with Stevens and Bednarek again, then we deserve all we get, to be honest. But but after the West Ham team selection thing, what do I know?
What do we know? Ed, who starts for you on Thursday night? What would you be doing?
If Salisu's fit, he'll start with either Stevens or Bednarek, probably Bednarek, because that's Ralph's favoured pairing. Although I would say that earlier in the season, Stevens was brilliant with Salisu. So you can play either of those together. You want to have, I still think that we look better balanced with Walker-Peters and Perot personally. Livramento's not been the same player since he's been injured, I don't think. And I don't think he played well again on Saturday. It worries me that he's still carrying a bit of a niggle. If Salisu's not fit, someone made a comment here earlier. I think Nick made a comment about playing Valerie and another. Yeah. Well, Valerie played very well in the cup against Chelsea away at Stamford Bridge earlier in the season and was very commanding at the back. And maybe that's an option, but I'm not Ralph, so who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Predictions then for this one. Could be interesting. Feel free to stick your predictions in the comments, by the way, if you're watching live. Glenn, needless to say, I think we got the West Ham one right. We all got the win, but not necessarily the score. I don't think anyone predicted that we'd get turned over 4-0 at the weekend. So no surprises there, really. So I think it's status quo as was. Prediction for the Newcastle game first, Glenn, on Thursday.
Bearing in mind, I don't think Salas is going to be fit. I've got no medical training or any prior knowledge. I don't think he's going to be fit, so I'll go for a 1-1 draw in that game.
Okay. Ed, how do you see this one playing out Thursday?
Yeah, I see it's a draw. I think it's going to be a 2-2, something like that, 2-2 draw. Yeah, that's what I think. Especially if Salisu's not fit.